Hey guys, this is our pre-learning for the week, so you need to watch this video before you come to our next class in order to understand what we're going to be doing in class. It's a really great process because it opens up some more time in class for us to actually work through some of the activities, which is great. Hopefully before our class, you'll come in knowing what livability is and what makes a place livable. So the learning intention of this video is to help you to understand the factors that are taken into account when describing a city as livable or unlivable. First of all, what is livability? Everybody likes to be able to tell you that they are the best or in the top 10 of some particular category. Cities are no different to this. If you look at the official websites for many international cities, they will tell you that they are the safest, wealthiest, fastest growing, or have the very best events calendar. Being able to boast that a city is the world's most livable city is great publicity. Livability can be defined as the features that create a place that people want to live in and are happy to live in. It's usually measured by factors such as safety, health, comfort, community facilities, and freedom. So who says which city is the most livable? Several international organizations have created lists of the world's most livable cities. These organizations each compare data and produce a table that ranks the livability of cities. This information is collected for workers considering overseas transfers for jobs, or for companies that may need to compensate or pay workers more if they're transferred to live in a low-ranked city. The figures can also be used to attract migrants or investment opportunities. The various rankings compare a large number of cities. However, not all cities in the world are included in each survey. The criteria used to produce the rankings include stability or personal safety, which is very important to a lot of people, healthcare and the availability of healthcare, culture and environment, so religious tolerance, corruption in the government, climate and potential natural disasters, that's a really big one. People will not want to move to a place if there's a lot of floods there or bushfires or earthquakes. Education is really important to a lot of people. Infrastructure is big. Transport, housing, energy, water, ability to communicate, those are all things that fall under the banner of infrastructure. Economic stability, recreational and sporting facilities, and availability of consumer goods. So the availability of food, cars, and household items are really important criteria for people when deciding whether or not a place is livable. So this map shows the top 10 and bottom 10 of global cities as ranked by livability. These are released by the Economist Intelligence Unit, the EIU, in August 2016. Now that is a little bit of time ago. These rankings are released every year, so it is possible for you to Google the Economic Intelligence Unit and find out exactly what the rankings are at the moment. So this is indicative of what the rankings were in 2016. This survey ranks 140 cities, and a score of 100 equates to the perfect or ideal city. So the closer to 100 you are, the more livable the city is. For the past few years, Vancouver, which is in Canada, Melbourne and Vienna, which is in Europe, have shared the top rankings as the world's most livable city. The map shows that many of the world's top cities have scores that are very similar. The difference in score between the top 4 cities is only 0.3. There is more than one published ranking, so obviously there is more than one list of livable cities. With slightly different selection criteria, Zurich, Geneva, and Frankfurt make it into the top 10. And in another 2012 survey, Hong Kong was named the best city in the world. A common feature of these surveys is that cities in the United States do not rank highly, even though they are very popular locations for business, travel, and residence. For example, Honolulu is ranked highest at 19, while other well-known cities such as New York, Los Angeles, and San Francisco are ranked at about 50. So what do the top 10 livable cities have in common with each other? Looking at the location of the most livable cities, you can see that most are found in Australia, Canada, or Europe. They are all mid-sized cities, so not too big, and they have quite low population density, which is what we talked about last lesson. They have low crime rates, and they have good infrastructure that copes quite well with the needs of the community. They are found in places where there is a temperate climate, so a climate that's easy enough to get used to, but there are some exceptions. Toronto, Calgary, and Helsinki all have very cold winters, but they offer all of the other things that people want in a livable city. The top cities also tend to be modern cities, so they're not much more than 300 years old. They've been planned recently in modern times so that people can travel around them by both public and private transport. They're also found in some of the world's wealthiest or most developed nations. Australian and Canadian cities perform better than cities in the United States due to the US cities' high crime and congestion rates. So high crime rates just means that there's a lot of crime happening in the United States, unfortunately, much more than in Australia and Canada. And congestion rates is referring to traffic. So having too many people traveling around all the time and not a good enough infrastructure to support it. So what I want you to consider, I'm not going to get you to write anything down. You don't have to submit anything to Schoology, but I want you to consider the following. Think about Melbourne as a place to live. Did you know that Melbourne is one of the most livable cities in the world? It's hard to know that kind of thing when you live here. Being someone that lives in Melbourne, would you agree that our city meets a lot of the criteria for being a livable city? And are there any things that you don't like about Melbourne? So I want you to have a think about that in the lead up to our next lesson, because our next lesson we're going to be talking a little bit more about what it means to be a livable city or what it means to be a not very livable city. And we're going to look at some of the differences and similarities between cities that are considered livable and cities that are not considered as livable. Thanks guys, I hope you enjoyed the pre-learning and I'll see you in our next class.